No, but it's weird. I keep getting his missed call, and I finally I sent him a text saying, "Who is this?" And he goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, you calling me all the time. I don't have any record of you calling, of me calling you." And I said, "Well, you're calling me." And I said, "I wouldn't be calling you if you weren't calling me, would I?"
I mean, if he's calling is he calling from a cell phone?
Yeah, but it's funny. I never answer the phone when he calls. I guess the phone is turned off when he calls.
You know what you can do is block it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's weird. It's probably
He even showed on his phone as a recent call.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's perfectly innocent.
It happens a lot.
It does.
It does.
I was at the Warriors last night.
Oh, you were, yeah.
Good game. Scotty was there.
Fun.
Yeah. Chris Paul was not looking too good.
No.
I like to see him play better.
Yeah.
Luke.
He did hit that three-pointer, though.
Yeah, there you go.
He pulled a Steph Curry.
Please answer the phone, Scotty.
Wow. Hey, there he is. Is that Scott?
That's me.
It is Edward Brown and Bruce McGowan.
What do you say, Scotty?
Hey, boy.
Not too much. How you doing? All right.
Excellent. All right, if you guys are ready,
yeah.
Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so again, if you remember, Scott, you were with us once before. We just do a quick little 2-minute interlude where we're going to be introducing you in the second segment. So stay with us. All right. Okay, ready, Bruce?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. You know our show. It's where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, a longtime sports radio personality. Hey, how long have you been in radio?
Too many years.
Too many years.
Yeah, back when they used to give people cans and talk, from one can to another.
That's right, with the string.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That worked. No, actually, 1975 was my first job. So that's 41 years ago.
Covering the World Series?
No, I was working for a little station in Auburn, California, a little AM/FM outfit. I was a midday disc jockey, a high school play-by-play announcer. A typical small town. It's like our guest here. He's going to tell you about his background. He started off in this small market.
And who's going to be our guest in the second segment?
Renowned sports columnist Scott Ostler, who worked in Los Angeles, has been working in the Bay Area for many, many years with the SF Chronicle, and started his career in the sort of modest undertakings in Lompoc, California.
Lompoc.
Or Lompoc, I guess it's called.
Lompoc, where the jail is.
That's right. It's also near Vandenberg Air Force Base, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, at each commercial break, we're going to be asking a sports trivia question, giving away a vacation to the first email with the correct answer. And the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by the Lighthouse Resort and Marina. And those vacations are free. Their only request, they got a $100 cleaning fee to cover the
That's not free.
Expenses.
That's not free.
No, it's but it's worth much more than $100. So it's let's date.
I'm just teasing you.
That's
just giving you a hard time.
No problem.
I like to do that once in a while.
Check them out at Lighthouse Resort.
It is a nice place. It is a nice place.
And if you said, hey, if you didn't tease me, who would? I'd say take a number.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. So today's trivia theme, as Mel Allen would say, is baseball. Baseball.
Yeah.
And which kind of sad. Joe Garagiola recently died.
Yeah. Well, he had a good long life. Nice fellow. Nice
years.
Guy. Great storyteller.
Yeah.
Bob Uecker sort of became the Joe Garagiola of the more recent vintage.
But Joe wasn't really that funny, though, was he?
He was in his earlier days. He told funny stories. He had funny, kind of offbeat, off-color funny stories, yeah.
One of those guys, I guess he's sort of like Nolan Ryan. First year in the leagues, gets a World Series, and after that, nothing.
Yeah.
All right, you're listening to Sports Econ 101. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, so that's our first little interlude.
We'll get to you later.
Introduce you.
So how was Warriors practice today?
Oh, how was the practice?
Yeah.
Well, they called off practice to give guys day off. Some of them
that's good.
Run the shot, and Kerr showed up, so it's fine.
Okay, Kerr,
every hour's got, which is great. And
yeah, Kerr must be so much fun to deal with on a regular basis because he's bright.
He is the best.
Yeah.
Other than somebody like Vandenberg comes to mind, but Kerr is freaking phenomenal.
Well, it's not just because he's a friendly guy, but because he has so many interests. He's such a fascinating individual. I mean, his background, his what he likes to.
Let's talk about that right here because I'm
definitely
going to make a comment about that myself. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, who's on our line?
Now we got Scott Ostler, award-winning columnist from the San Francisco Chronicle. Worked for many years in Los Angeles. Before that, covering the Lakers and Magic Johnson now covering the best team in basketball, the Golden State Warriors, who are having just a phenomenal season. And we were talking off air, Scotty, about dealing with Steve Kerr last year, his rookie year. They won a championship this year. They have the best record in the league, going for the all-time record, trying to break the Chicago Bulls mark of 72 wins and 10 losses. What's it like dealing with Steve Kerr on a regular basis? Because I think a lot of our listeners know a little about him, having been exposed to him when he was an announcer with one of the television networks.
Or with the Bulls with this, and
well, of course, as a player too. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I've been in business a long time. It's like long as you. I'm not sure about you, but I've been around a long time. Dealt with a lot of coaches, like good ones, bad ones, good, the bad, and the ugly. And Kerr would be on my Mount Rushmore. Best coaches to deal with in every way, not just in media relations, because that's not the whole key. They can, like if Jim Harbaugh could be a jerk to us, but he could still be good copy, right? Or still be interesting. Kerr in every way, he's just really an intelligent guy. He expresses himself phenomenally. He'll never get him to say anything stupid or trip himself up. He explains things. He answers things. He answers questions. He goes with it, you know.
Well, you know what I thought was interesting? Well, it's fun. Like, okay, so I'm sitting at home watching the game, and then they'll cut to Roz, who will, go over to Kerr during the, she'll listen in on the timeouts. And it's funny because I'm thinking, when I'm watching certain, segments going on, I'm thinking, I'd probably get a little angry with some of the plays that are going on, But the comments that apparently he makes are more like, hey guys, we're doing okay. We just need to, get those rebounds or whatever. It's a little bit more of a encouraging type of atmosphere.
Yeah, and he can get down on it, but it's not like the old school, if you're on out of the kind of
Bobby Knight.
That's right, yeah. It's not like that. He has a really good touch, and I think the players appreciate that because there are times when he gets down and yells at him in the locker room or whatever, but he picks his spots, and when he does that, they're pretty convinced that they deserve it. And over the period of now a season and a half, he's built up enough trust that they know that he's the real deal.
Well, if he didn't yell at him, Draymond Green would, right?
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Don't you think if he didn't yell at him, Draymond Green would pick it up?
Absolutely. Draymond has a couple times.
Yeah.
A couple times where he was left it up to Draymond.
And
that's where Steven's battle with Draymond.
And Bruce, you were mentioning, the best team in basketball. And it's funny because I'll bet the Spurs are sort of thinking in the back of their mind, you know what? They're not really the best. Spurs think that they are, even though the record.
You have to feel that way if you're near the top, and that begs the question, Scott. Everybody expects the Warriors and the Spurs to meet in the conference finals. If that happens, that's really kind of going to be the true NBA championships in the sense that you got the two best teams.
That will be a phenomenal showdown if that happens. Obviously, a lot of stuff in the way. Either team gets hurt, or the guys, things can get derailed easily. As we saw last year in the playoffs, when the Warriors and opponents went down like crazy. But yeah, come down, that'd be great. Like the game they played the other day, probably are convinced they're better because defense is so big in the playoffs, and the Spurs just kicked the Warriors' butt defensively the other day.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast they were. A bunch of old guys, but of course Duncan wasn't playing that much, so.
And they're really not that old when you consider there are a lot of younger guys on that team. I mean, Parker's a little older and Duncan's a little older and Ginobili, but they do have basically a team that's not that ancient. It's just that we have a tendency to look at those guys because they've been around so long.
Yeah, I don't think the age is going to be a factor. Ginobili a couple years ago, he faded in the playoffs, so maybe he can do that again. I think Parker looks still pretty spry, and Duncan, when they use him, he doesn't look like an old man out there. And they got the young guys to push him, so.
That's funny, and we have Barbosa. Barbosa, the Brazilian
Blur.
Blur.
Yeah, that's
Brazilian
right.
Blur. And it's amazing how fast he is.
Yeah, he has that little burst of energy. And he's an interesting guy, Scott. Did you talk to, I know he's sort of a secondary guy in the team, but do you ever talk to Barbosa? Because
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, interesting guy.
He's a charming guy, and he loves to talk. He's very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't seem like a big philosopher or anything like that. He's just out there playing ball. But a guy, an interesting guy. And pretty smart. You can't play on the Warriors. You can't play in this team without being a smart basketball player.
Mm.
I don't know how that translates to outside normal IQ, but they got guys in the team that are even Barbosa, where you think all he's got to do is run fast. He's not in place. He's figuring out how to get open down deep on those breakaways and stuff. So it's a very right team.
Who do you like talking to in this team when you have a chance to go to practice? And I mean, obviously Curry is sought out by everybody for a comment. He just seems so calm and placid and even keeled. But are there any players in that team that maybe aren't big name guys, or even Draymond Green to me seems like a fascinating guy because he wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, Draymond, I guess early last season, there was some point that I'm waiting on the locker room and he was there and I started talking to him and I think a couple other guys came over and we started talking to him and I left there thinking, okay, this is the guy, this is the go-to guy. You got to seek him out whenever you can, and that's certainly proved to be true. He's a phenomenal talker. He's got a lot going on. He likes to talk, and he's a little bit offbeat. He's got a good sense of humor. So he's phenomenal. That's obvious. Bogut's a really good talker. Bogut will be very honest and kind of analytical and a little bit kind of the old man of the team. But and it's always been like last years ago under Mark Jackson, he was kind of an outcast. He wasn't going to Mark Jackson's religious services and all that stuff. And he's spoken about that. But Bogut's a really interesting guy. Tom Livingston could be really good. All the guys. I don't think there's anybody on the team. Most Bates, you talk to him, great guy, phenomenal guy. You don't get a lot of great sound bites out of him, I guess. But that's not a rap on him. All the guys are willing talkers, and they're all really good, and all give you a little bit of insight into the team, which is rare. Because, Bruce, as you know, on most teams, there's like a baseball team, or you have one or two or three kind of go-to guys. You go to, they're going to be good. You know which guys aren't going to be good. You don't waste your time. With the Warriors, you can basically wind up getting interesting thoughts and comments from just about anybody on the team.
Scott, let me ask you.
All the assistant coaches.
Scott, let me ask you, because you mentioned about Mark Jackson and Bogut. We don't really know what goes behind the scenes, but what was happening? I mean, we all know Mark Jackson he's also a part-time pastor of the church. Was he? I mean, obviously he can't command everybody to go, but I wonder if he put out an invitation and sort of buddies up to the guys who do go. I don't know. What do you know about all that?
I think to me, it kind of crossed a weird unspoken line because he is a what do you call a certified pastor?
Yeah.
He has a church. He's a preacher in real life, and I think some of that was spill over to the team. I don't know if it was during chapel sessions or either chapel sessions or maybe during his team talks. Maybe he would invoke religious themes and stuff like that. But I know that he also, there were a couple cases in California, he would invite the guys, come out to my church. I mean, we have the day off or we have the morning off. Come out to my church, I'm going to be preaching. And if you guys want to come out, that'd be great. And the times it happened, I think it happened twice, most of the guys went. And partly because, Curry and a lot of these guys are very religious guys,
It wasn't just to get in good with the coach.
No, so they would go, and they were into it, but in a way, it seemed, to me, from the outside, it was almost becoming like he was becoming like a religious cult leader. And for instance, Bogut, who has told me that he's not an atheist, or he just does his particular religion isn't exactly like Mark Jackson's, which is kind of that evangelical.
Gotcha.
Kind of.
Hey Scott, hold that thought. We got to cut to a quick break here. Okay. All right. So our trivia theme is baseball. You guys probably know either all three of these questions or at least a couple. All right. And don't answer until we come back from break. But what shortstop holds the major league records for games played, assists, and double plays? The first email with the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, subject to the thing. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com to answer that question. Don't touch that dial. Scott Ostler and Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. All right, so that's segment number 2. Thank you. I know it's kind of hard because I'm looking at the clock and you're not, so I have to I hate cutting people off. But
that's right.
Okay.
Sky, where do you live? In the city?
Orinda.
Oh, Orinda. Okay. Oh, that's nice. It must be a nice day over there today.
And we live in Marinda.
Marin County. Oh, it's a beautiful day over here. I was out surfing the last couple of days at Drake's Beach out in Point Reyes National Seashore. It was phenomenal. Oh my God, it was so
Pretty good
beautiful.
waves out there, don't they?
They weren't that big, but there was offshore wind blowing. It was probably about 4 to 5 foot, and just
Oh, that's perfect for you.
just perfect. And there was we have a what I call, Scotty, the Marin crew. It's all these older guys that are my age, and a couple of gals, and we all run into each other at different breaks here in Marin County. And it's kind of fun. So once in a while we hook up and go out as a group or meet out there, and it's nice. It's not like San Francisco where everybody is sort of a little more competitive.
Especially if you're not alone,
Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't want to be out there by yourself.
Yeah.
No, it's not a good idea.
The sharks a little brave.
Yeah, that's right. People run for their money.
All right. After you finish that, I wanted to kind of go on to a couple of other things.
Sure, yeah.
All right, so here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. When we cut to the first commercial break trivia question, we asked this baseball question. What shortstop holds the major league records for games played, assists, and double plays?
I'm going to say Omar Vizquel, because he played
That's
until
going to be my guess.
Yeah.
I had here Ozzie Smith.
Or Ozzie Smith. Was it Ozzie Smith? No, it
I
wasn't.
have Ozzie Smith.
It was Ozzie Smith.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know he played well into his late 30s, but I think Omar played even longer. But, maybe Ozzie had more chances. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We did. Okay, so we are on the phone here with Scott Ostler. And Scott, do you want to just finish up your the points you were making about Mark Jackson and Bogut coming on to?
Yeah, I was just saying that there was kind of a basic kind of seems clash between Mark Jackson and Bogut. Kind of religion. Bogut told me that he was made to feel like the devil himself.
Jeez.
I don't know if he didn't attend all the regular chapel services that some of the players go to for games, or just Jackson. But anyway, it's a weird situation. Coach has that kind of flair over some of the guys.
Well, I wonder how it influenced him playing Bogut.
I don't think it did influence him, but I got the feeling there was a lot of tension going on. And one thing that bothered me, Scotty, was when they did get rid of Jackson. A lot of this stuff surfaced. Not that it shouldn't have, because we needed to have a reason. Because normally you don't fire a guy who's led a team to 2 playoff series. But the Warriors' ownership was kind of in a dicey position, because here they were getting rid of a popular coach. And they didn't have anybody, and I guess Steve Kerr was ready to sign with the Knicks, wasn't he? And they managed to pry him away at the last minute. How did that happen?
Well, I think he pried himself away too, because if you heard him, he gave it some thought. For one thing, he had kind of committed to Jackson when he coached the Knicks, and didn't have anything writing. But then the Warrior job was open. I think that appealed to Kerr, because he could see what great talent the Warriors had. Starting with Steph Curry. And so I don't know if he contacted the Warriors first, they contacted him, but they basically stole him away from the Knicks.
It's not like Steve didn't have enough championship rings. Of course, he didn't have any as a coach. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you think back, 2 years ago, the Warriors lost in the Clippers in the first round in a 7-game series. Had the Warriors won that game and gone on to the second round, would have been nice even for them. It would have been almost impossible, I think, to fire Mark Jackson. He was been fired.
Yeah, I just remember when they made that move, I thought to myself, I'd heard some stories about tension between him and Joe Lacob and Peter Guber, but I didn't realize the depth of it. It was very similar to the situation with Jim Harbaugh and Jed York down in Santa Clara with the 49ers.
Very similar. He was a hard guy to get along with, if you were one of his players.
And he did not like other people having input. That's one thing about Steve Kerr that really impresses me, is he encourages his assistants, whether it's Luke Walton or Jason or Jaron Collins or Adams or any of these other guys. He encourages them to have input, which I think is a sign of a guy who's not only secure but who realizes, hey, I got some good people here. Let's use that. Let's use the resources.
You can't know everything.
Yeah.
Although, and not to defend Mark Jackson or anything, but when he came in, when he took the Warriors job, it was his first coaching job. He had a couple of the assistants kind of wasted on him. But they said, we're going to hire you. We're going to let this guy be your offensive coach and so forth.
I didn't know that. Huh.
He didn't give his guys, and that came to be a big sticking point.
I don't blame him then. I mean, Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame him. I think you'd want to bring your own guys in. Why would they do that to him? That's a strange thing.
Well, but if they're good and they get along with them, then
Yeah,
you
but they
start from
weren't.
scratch.
But they weren't good. I mean, there were a bunch of. I don't know, Scotty. I don't like to take shots at people who are no longer around, but we're not coaching anymore. But the guys he had working as assistants were non-entities. They were never available. Yeah, I mean, they were just the one guy who stood up to him. He demoted. So anyway, sad story.
Okay, moving on to baseball. This whole Adam Larouche situation, right? Bringing his son into the dugout, etc. I've read a lot of comments on this, and I kind of agree with a lot of this. That how many employees get to bring their son? I mean, being a baseball player, it's still work, right?
Sure.
You're still working for the owners.
Yeah.
How many times do you get to bring your kids to work, unless it's bring your kid to work day?
Right.
And it's kind of it is a distraction. No matter how good the kid is.
That was spring training, though. I mean, wasn't it when it happened, or was it last year in the regular season? I didn't hear this.
In the regular season.
Okay, he brought him into the clubhouse, or just? I mean, that is not unusual.
Oh yeah, he had a locker next to the
Okay.
and all that.
Oh, he was there on a regular basis.
That's the problem. It's not bringing it once in a while.
Yeah.
Nobody really cared about that, but it was like this consistent thing. And then with him, he didn't have a great year last year.
He did. That's a dysfunctional organization of the Chicago White Sox. They're a mess.
What's
You
making
guys know what a baseball clubhouse is like, and those guys, when we're not in there, that's their home and everything. They swear, they talk dirty, they tell stories that they don't want outside world to hear. They sometimes get in fights and arguments, and maybe you don't want somebody's kid there all the time. Maybe it changes the whole dynamic of the clubhouse.
The clubhouses are interesting places. I remember when the Red Sox back in the '80s, that was the toughest. And I don't know if you've ever covered much of the Red Sox in the '80s teams, Scotty, but when they come to Oakland to play the A's, that was always the toughest clubhouse to go into. I walked in there on eggshells most of the time. John McNamara would snap at you. Bobby Ojeda was strange. Bill Buckner was just, a curmudgeon. I mean, there's certain clubhouses.
Jim Rice, was he there? Jim Rice?
Oh my God! Jim Rice one time went after. You remember Steve Faineru, who was
ripped his shirt off.
Ripped his shirt off, right, and it was going to punch him. And Sam Skinner actually sat on, who weighed about 280 pounds, sat on Jim Rice, and Jim Rice was, get your, blankety blanket, fat, off of me.
Why was he tearing his shirt off?
He didn't like the question that
Then he deserved
Steve
it.
asked. Yeah, well, I mean, I think there had been some history going on there. Were you there that night, Scotty? You remember that?
No, I was not. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, he was an angry, bad guy.
Yeah, he was. He was not a nice man, and I don't know what his problem was. I tried to do an interview with him once, and he literally took his hand and slapped the microphone out of my hand. And I just thought to myself, well, that's a sign of a guy who's got some problems.
Well, I guess
there was on that board that going around. Ricky Smith played for the Dodgers.
Oh yeah.
All those teams. Lowell Cone tells the story. He moved from the Bay Area, went down to do Dodger stuff. Went in the clubhouse, wanted to talk to Reggie Smith. Had the PR man introduce him to Reggie Smith. So the PR man says, "Hey Reggie, this is Lowell Cone from San Francisco Chronicle." And Reggie Smith turned to the PR man. Didn't look at Lowell. Turned to the PR man and said, "No, but tell Lowell Cone to go police himself."
Oh, shoot.
That was his hello.
And that was funny because Reggie came up here to play with the Giants briefly and was actually a very nice guy when he showed up. But before that, we'd heard terrible things about the guy.
Because he played for the Dodgers.
Well,
He was a split personality guy.
He was, yeah.
An intelligent, well-read guy, right man, could be charming and engaging. He could be the biggest dirt face on earth.
Who was the toughest guy you ever dealt with as an athlete? It doesn't have to be the toughest, but what are some of the tougher guys that you had to deal with?
Eddie Murphy, right? Or
Murray. Eddie Murray. Eddie Murray was pretty. Yeah.
A lot of tough guys. Barry Bonds was the most consistently untractable, surly, ornery, uncooperative guy.
You didn't get along with Barry, huh?
No. Sometimes we would talk and stuff like that. For the most part, every interaction was confrontational and angry and bitter.
A little advice.
Yeah, but one of the things about Barry is he made you grovel.
Yeah, he did. That's true.
He didn't blow you off right away. He would make you wait and give you short shrift or blow you off. He would make you pull your heels standing by his locker for half an hour while he on his back.
Yeah, that's true. One thing I liked about Jeff Kent, if he didn't want to talk to you, would just say, "I don't feel like talking to you, sir." And he'd always say, "Sir." And I asked him once, I said, "Why are you calling me sir, Jeff? You know me." You know, I covered the guy for 5 years. I was in that clubhouse all the time. He goes, "What do you want me to call you? You know, ass, you know, ASS something, F face. You know, no, actually, that sir sounds good to me."
Yeah. The guy who got his shirt ripped off, next time he'll probably wear 2 shirts.
Oh, I know what's funny about that. Here's the story about that. Not only was the shirt ripped off, the buttons all fell off, and Steve went back upstairs, and it was a warm night, and he was writing his story on his typewriter. In those days, this is before the computers were popular, with nothing on, no shirt on, no shirt on. Yeah.
Next time wear a T-shirt underneath it.
Yeah, crazy
I
stuff.
almost had my shirt ripped off. I was baseball player.
Really?
Angry about something I wrote. He grabbed me by the front of the shirt. He didn't rip it off, but he kind of.
Who was that?
The end by my shirt. A guy who was actually a really nice guy. I got along with a guy named Lyman Boston.
Oh yeah, the guy who was shot and killed. He was actually murdered. He was in a car. I guess the guy who was driving the car was the original guy that was supposed to be targeted by this killer, and he shot into the car and hit Bostock and killed him. And he was only like 32 years old or something.
The football player, wasn't he?
No, baseball player with the Angels. Good one. Good one.
God, no, I'm thinking of John John Bostic, right? Played for.
Okay.
He was a really, really good, nice guy, and I got along with him. He was a writer.
Yeah.
Angels and but he got angry at something I wrote. He got me by the shirt.
Really?
I'm sure me a little bit.
What did you do when he did that?
Well, you know, I heard he was mad at me. I kind of made up my mind about this anyway, that if a player ever initiated something physically with me, and I was much younger then, and I was not a fighter, and still not by any means, but I made up my mind that if something like that happened, I would at least try to defend myself.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't back down. I mean, don't respect you for it.
Definitely, if push me, I'm not going to back. They'll go at it. You know?
What did you do then? So he grabbed you and what?
Not quickly, but
You just pushed him away?
no, he said he grabbed me by the shirt, kind of lifted me up, and he said, "What's that stuff you wrote?" And I said, "You know what it's about. I talked to you about it. You know who was lying in this story." And he let me go and he kind of brushed my shirt off. He said, "No, I'm just kidding with you. It's fine."
Yeah. Okay. We're going to cut to another commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the NFL changes, too. Okay, here's our second baseball trivia question. What explosive base stealer took a $2.7 million pay cut to play for the Kansas City Royals in 1995? Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I had no idea on that one. None whatsoever.
Yeah, you've heard the guy, though.
I'm sure I've heard of it. Yeah. Doesn't strike a bell. You going to the game Friday, Scotty?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, actually, Dallas is not exactly a formidable opponent, but maybe it'll be a good game. It's interesting. So the Warriors have to go 10-2 in their last. Is it 12 games left or 11 games left?
I think it's 11. I think they have to go with
9-2. Okay. And they got to play San Antonio twice. They have to play at Memphis. Yeah, a couple.
Will not be easy.
No.
A lot of people are sort of eating it through, but they didn't lose 4 games.
Yeah, very easily. Well, I'd rather have them not break the record and win the championship than break the record and get upset in the
Yeah, it
playoffs.
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Well, they're there, and they're like you did on the playground.
Yeah, exactly.
Language games, every game you go out to the playground, you want to win.
Yeah, for sure. No question.
All right. Thanks again for staying with us, Scott. Appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Bruce McGowan. Second trivia question. What explosive base stealer took a $2.7 million pay cut to play for the Kansas City Royals in 1995?
I don't have a clue. Maybe Scott knows. You got to venture a guess?
I'm racking my brains, man.
Yeah.
Okay, you would know him from the Mets and the Cardinals.
The Mets and the Cardinals.
Think before 1995.
Wow.
Come on.
I'm still thinking. I'm drawing a blank.
Vince
This is
Coleman.
why I'm not on Jeopardy.
Yeah, that's right.
Vince Coleman?
Vince Coleman.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't
Wow.
remember him for Kansas City. He probably played
Vince Coleman was the only player I think who was ever actually injured by a tarp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, it rolled under his leg rolled
And
under.
that was during the playoffs, just for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He couldn't play against the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll take you down.
Yeah.
Okay, so but actually, before we get to rule changes, Joe Garagiola, unfortunately, he passed away recently, and you know what? And this is you don't like to speak ill of the dead, right?
Right.
But I gotta say that I didn't really care for his voice. It was a little bit too mundane, like
Right.
Vin Scully or Pat Summerall. You know, and I know some people go, yeah, I love the old time, type. But I don't know. I like I like the excitement, you know.
Well, he was not a guy who got all revved up. An interesting story about Joe Garagiola, and I have no way of substantiating this, but I heard this from a pretty reliable source that when Jackie Robinson first broke in with the Giants, that Joe thought it would be funny to bring a black cat to the game and let it out of the dugout when Jackie was standing in the on-deck circle, which, you know, in retrospect is not very funny at all, but at the time I guess he thought it was a joke and didn't realize the racial.
You know, there was some talk, and I don't want to kill Joe, but there was controversy involved that went a little deeper than that during the times of baseball first integrating. He was maybe, you know, not working completely for the good side or whatever, but
well, actually, he started in '46.
Times too, and hard to have such amount. Racism was very much more rampant then, or at least more overtly rampant.
Oh, no
You know what? I'm just thinking about this though. Garagiola was a rookie in '46. Robinson comes in '47.
Right.
I wonder how many guys are suddenly thinking, you know, these types of people, quote the blacks, are going to take my job.
Well, a lot of the marginal players, and probably not even some of the marginal players would have not had a chance. You think about it, if baseball had been integrated years before, we would have had Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson and Cool Papa Bell and all those guys. And I think, to me, baseball really never was great until the 1950s. They were great players, but don't get me wrong. But as far as looking back at the good old days weren't pre-1950s because it was all white. Yeah. And you denied a lot of good players the right to play, which was not good for the game.
But they did have the
Negro leagues. These guys like Garagiola and stuff, they played against black guys in exhibition games and stuff, and they knew, despite the propaganda, they knew there were a lot of great black ball players. They knew that if the gates are open to these black ball players, that a lot of the marginal white guys were going to go bye-bye.
No question.
And Garagiola was definitely marginal.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So they did have, the Negro
They
leagues.
did. And one of the ironies was once the major leagues started to integrate, the black fans would show up at the major league games, and the Negro leagues slowly died out. And the Negro leagues, I think they lasted, didn't they, Scotty, until the mid-'50s, and then they just sort of died and faded away? Yeah.
But and I'm fortunate, and somebody's been fortunate, but obviously the greater good.
But I wonder how, I don't know how much coverage they got.
They got a fair amount. They got a lot, obviously, in the black community. It's interesting. If you go to Kansas City, they have two museums right next door to each other: the American Jazz Museum and the African American Negro Baseball Leagues Museum. Have you been there, Scotty?
Yes.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, obviously, they didn't get paid the same.
No.
Of course, a lot of people didn't get paid well in baseball.
But for your average, African American who was having to live in America at that time, they probably got paid a lot better than having a normal job.
So isn't that weird how, like you said, it's like the integration was good for society, but for those Negro leagues.
Yeah,
it really wasn't really good.
No, because there was only a handful of players originally that got, the Boston Red Sox didn't have a African American player until 1959. Pump C. Green, that's right, from the Bay Area, who I think just passed away recently, didn't he?
Yeah, I
think he did. Yeah.
Who was the last game?
He lived in Oakland. I heard a story on him like 5 years ago. I met with him. He's a really fascinating guy, and he's his stories about his first at bat in the big league.
And it's funny, Boston, you always think of Boston as being, one of the furthest northern cities, more liberal cities, but it was actually viciously racist.
Really bad, and in basketball, too.
Yeah, the way they treated Bill Russell, he was treated shamefully.
Bill Russell came down, he had a hard time finding a place to live there.
Yeah.
You would go to a Celtics game, and even when in Larry Bird era, there were never any black people in the stands.
No.
It was a white man's sport.
Well, and in the days when the Celtics were winning all those championships, the Boston Bruins were not very good, but the Bruins consistently outdrew the Celtics, which made no sense.
I'm told that in the Bill Russell days, you could always get a great seat the day of the game, walk up to the Celtics and get plenty of seats. But the Bruins, you won that time, you're right. So, I've been seeing crowds at Fenway, I don't know, 3 years, I'm talking about 30 years ago, when you wouldn't find a black person in Fenway.
Yeah.
Well, you go on Craigslist and look for a decent Warrior ticket. It's $750.
Oh yeah.
That is crazy.
Back to Boston real quickly. You remember the late great Sam Skinner, Scotty? He told me once. I said, "How come you never go to Boston, Sam?" to cover any sports. He goes, Bruce, I do not go to Johannesburg.
Yeah.
That was Sam.
That was the reputation, I guess, for the,
Yeah.
a lot of sociological reasons. I've heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You guys want to move on to football?
Sure.
There's been some. It looks like there's some changes going on with the kickoffs, and now one thing I want to talk about first is they're coming up with this rule that if a player gets 2 unsportsmanlike conducts in a game, he gets thrown out. How many times does a guy get 2 of them in one game?
I can't
We're
remember.
trying to make this big rule change, either throw a guy out or don't throw it. Okay, you do that one more time, just one more time.
Usually you get, I mean, if you do something egregious, you're going to get kicked. That's interesting though. Scotty, how many times have you seen a football player get thrown out of a game? I can't remember, but maybe a handful of times.
Well, in college now, usually it happens with the targeting experience stuff.
Yeah.
But in the pros, no. And I'm confused that I don't have a big impact. I heard a former NFL official on the radio this morning talking about saying it's a terrible rule because a lot of these calls are whimsical, and I get one whimsical call and I get another one and it'll be thrown out. But hey, if you get one whimsical personal foul call, you better be in your best behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
If you get 2, then it's probably more than whimsy. So, have a shower, get out of here.
I mean, especially if it's going to be something like a certain tackle where you're not really trying to go for the head. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to spear or something like that, or grab a face mask and run 20 yards with it, that's obvious. But I mean, a lot of these calls get really wasn't it was it Pac-Man in Bengals Pittsburgh?
Oh, you're talking about that playoff game?
Yeah.
That cost the Bengals the game. Vontez Burfict and then Pac-Man Jones. Yeah, that was just absurd.
And
just absurd. I mean, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to be holding their heads between their tails, just thinking about how they screwed that thing up. My God.
Yeah. But then also now the kickoffs. So what's the rule with the kickoffs? They're moving it to the 25-yard. I mean,
no, I haven't heard this. Is that true? They're moving They're moving even further backward. Because I think it was at the 35 or 30, wasn't it last year? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know.
Well, these guys have such booming legs now. I guess from the 25, it makes them more interesting because they're kicking them into the end zone too often. What's the point of even having a kickoff if you can't have a return?
No, I kind of like the idea of giving, if he kicks it in the uprights, giving a point or something for that. That's kind of fun.
Hey, speaking of,
there is even talk about eliminating.
Yeah, no, hey, listen, if it's going to go in the end zone or out of the end zone every time, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
I got to ask you, Scotty.
Violent dealers.
Yeah. I got to ask you guys, I don't know if you've heard this story, but I can't remember the gentleman's name, but there's a player on the New England Patriots, offensive lineman, who quit for 1 year. He told management, he says, I know I've signed for 2 years. You don't have to pay me for next year, but I want to play. He grew up playing rugby. His dad was an outstanding rugby player, and he wants to play for the U.S. national team. I don't know if you've heard this story, but that's an incredible story to me. A guy quitting the NFL to play for the U.S. rugby national team, and the Patriots gave him a blessing to do this.
I got actually took a pretty good haircut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just shows you. I have a lot of respect for that guy if that's what he wants to do. He says it means a lot to me. Football I love, but rugby is my first love, and I've always wanted to play for the U.S. national team.
And the thing is that for the Olympics?
It is.
But can he was a professional athlete, so how does that?
Yeah,
well,
those rules are pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
Very sport to sport.
Yeah. Have you covered the Olympics, by the way, Scotty?
Well, yeah, I've been to. I'm trying to think about it. Probably 6 or 7.
How do you decide which? I mean, obviously there are certain events that are going to command most attention, but on a day, say when there's 5 or 6 really important events going on, how do you decide which one you're going to go cover?
You automatically go to synchronized swimming.
Well, ideally, you're not in a situation which I've been in a couple times where they say cover all.
That's right. Take a television set with you,
But it's so funny. That reminds me. There was remember the old Odd Couple with Jack Klugman?
Sure.
So he's dating this woman who is supposedly a princess from some super small country, and she's trying to defend her country. Like, yeah, we're small, but we're important. And she says, we actually had somebody in the Olympics. He goes, really? What sport? She goes, all of them. He goes, how did he do? He goes, he died.
Well, what do you think about this year's this upcoming Olympics? Are you excited about going to Brazil, or are you going to go down there?
No, I'm not going.
Okay.
I'm excited about it. I like the Olympics. I just think that the whole thing has become overblown and corrupt. And like they're having in Rio where
Yeah.
It's an economic problem down there. There's so much poverty. It seems to me that poor people are getting screwed over so the government can make itself look big by hosting the Olympics. And just taking one small thing, one part of the water thing.
Yeah.
Well, the sailing and the outdoor water events can be held in basically open sewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I got to tell you a story. In 1988, I went on some insurance convention down to Rio, and they put us in the nicest hotel, the Intercontinental. But it was so dangerous that literally they said as soon as you walk out the door and you get in a cab, they slam down the light locks and say, "Quick, roll up the window." This is in the parking lot right in front where they drop people off.
Well, yeah, that's not a good thing. And on top of that, now they have these mosquitoes with the Zika virus, so that's another thing to watch out for. Yeah, I guess you're probably happy.
Nobody knew about that when they planned the Olympics.
No.
They knew about bad water. They knew about the economic problems, the huge, massive poverty, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just the Olympics is just a bunch of rich corporate businessmen making money, by exploiting amateur athletes.
Yeah. No, I hate to say that.
Coolness is pure.
Yeah,
have
there
a
is.
big Mardi Gras. That'll be fun. At the same
No,
time.
I hate to say it was what Scotty's saying. I kind of agree with it. I mean, I'll watch the Olympics as much as the next person, but it's just something about it that just.
It's not the same. I know.
No, it hasn't been for a while.
It really hasn't been.
Yeah.
Well, part of it too is they have so many sports.
Too many sports.
Yeah.
Especially in the summer.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But I'm still stumping for the idea that I've proposed over the years, which is instead of going around to different cities, like we had in Beijing a couple of Olympics ago, and tremendously polluted city, and there's always logistics, and every 4 years there's problems building enough arenas and velodromes and all that stuff. My proposal is find a great tropical island, and turn it into an Olympic island, and put all the venues there.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
And have it there every year, just like you have the Kentucky Derby.
That's not a bad idea. Hey, Scott, stay with us. We're going to cut to the last commercial break here. Last baseball trivia question. Pete Rose holds the record for most total games played. Who is second? All right, the person who knows the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to come back with some closing comments. All right. Get this file saved.
So what's next on your docket today, Scotty? Just a nice, relaxing day, I hope?
I got a lot of stuff, what do you call it? Busy work to do. I got to transcribe some tapes. I actually got to write a story for our baseball section. So.
Oh, you guys have when does the baseball special come out?
Probably, I guess, before opening day.
Okay. You looking forward to baseball season?
I love baseball.
Yeah.
Should be fun.
I have my dad's in local.
Yeah.
Spring training was fun. I saw a couple of games. Just got back last week. All right, let's save this.
Arizona.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's funny because Scottsdale was too crazy, so we went to Tempe, but we were able to see the Angels Giants play. So that was fun. All right, so we'll come back. We'll say goodbye to you. Let me just do it on the air, and then we'll go on. Okay. Appreciate it so much, Scott.
Yeah, thanks so much, Scotty. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Bruce McGowan. Last trivia question. Pete Rose holds the record for most total games played. Who's second?
I'm gonna guess Ty Cobb.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they
Anyway, it's quite much.
I don't know. Well, Calvin.
Carl Yastrzemski.
Carl Yastrzemski.
Yeah,
Wow.
Pretty well.
That's a good one.
So that voice was Scott Ostler. Scott, thanks so much for joining us on Sports Econ 101.
My pleasure, boys. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Let him get back to work now.
Get back to work. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Scott's a terrific columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle and moved up here in the mid-'90s from L.A., where he worked for many years covering Magic Johnson and the Lakers, and we've become good friends over the years. Just a great guy. Got a good sense of humor, too, about things. Doesn't take things too seriously.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's our thoughts for the day.
Thoughts for the day.
We all know Iron Horse Lou Gehrig, right? Because
The Iron
Cal
Horse.
Ripken was called the Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Okay, so Lou Gehrig's called the Iron Horse.
Because he played all those games in a row.
Most consecutive games
Yeah.
before Cal Ripken beat it.
That's right.
But how many seasons did Lou play every inning of every game?
Okay.
You know the answer? I should make that a trivia
I
question.
think it was something like the 15 or 16 years that he played.
But how many of those seasons did he actually play every inning? Right? 'Cause he's got the record for.
Good question.
Right,
Oh, yeah, because they
started.
probably came out of games when he was hurt or when he was
exactly.
not hurt, but he was tired. Good question. I don't know.
One. He
Is that right?
one season did he play every inning of every game.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, so,
Usually, position players usually play almost every inning if they're going to play a game.
Especially first base. You hardly ever get hurt playing first. That's why
Yeah.
they usually put all the old dogs to
Wow, that's surprising.
Okay, and Casey Stengel said, you have to have a catcher. If you don't, the pitch will roll all the way back to the screen. Now that's brilliant.
Brilliance, Casey. Yeah, he's such a smart. That's why they call him the old professor.
That's right.
Yeah, he knows all the ins and outs.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. In fact, next week our guest is expecting to be
Rick Welts, the president of the Warriors. Yeah.
There you go. That'll be fun. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective.
And we will next week with Rick.
Absolutely.
Because he's head of the business department.
That's right. We're going to be giving away more free vacations for answering sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
All right, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. That was good.
That's a wrap, and I got to run.
Yes.
I got to run. All right, Edward. We'll see you next.
Right.
See you next.